There's something happening. And in these 5 reasons that we're going to be talking about today, these 5 things will be taking your liberties and your freedoms away. And they're happening right now. Actually, they're already happened. And we're just living through the fruition of these 5 things. So what are they doing? What is happening? And what can we do about it? And hopefully gaining wisdom and discernment to figure out what is best for us and our families. Today's video is going to be a good one, and it's going to be eye-opening, but we need to see what's happening. They're doing something to us, and we need to awaken and see what it is.
We got time on our side. We're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire.
Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so much for being here today. If you're new to The Max, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but let us know what you think about this video. Your comments, your thumbs up does help us stay in the algorithm to share and hopefully make people see what is happening in our world. And hopefully as a prepper or homesteader or someone trying to live sustainably, we can do better for our families. So let's jump into the video. 5 ways that they're doing something that you can't see. It reminds you again that we're the frog in the kettle that's starting to boil water. We don't tend to see how quickly America can be an utter demise. Number 1 is censoring speech. Now we see this, and we have seen this for years. Actually, we've seen this especially in the social media craze. Now here's the problem though. It's not the fact that they're just censoring the media, it's the fact that they manipulate and own the media. Now, the question is, how can we speak? What is the public platform? One amazing thing is one of those platforms have been bought out, which is Twitter. I have no problem with places like Truth Social and things like that, but it tends to be one-sided. We need to be to a point where we can interact, because when we disagree and when we articulate and we hear everybody's opinion, then it helps us build discernment and gain wisdom from whatever the situation is. You'd be surprised how many times I have thought one way, and then all of a sudden when we hear someone else say it, I say, you know, that's a great perspective. Not that I'm bending on my values or morals, but what I'm saying is the freedom of that speech helped me understand something that I may have not understood already. That's what we do. We gain wisdom from speech. One of the main freedoms that America was founded on was our speech. We've been censored. I think of YouTube. I love being on YouTube. I love sharing these commentaries with you and our life with you. However, I do see that sometimes we're not in the algorithm as much as we would be if we did some other content. So first of all, I really hope you like this video, and I hope you'll comment and share to your friends and give us a thumbs up, because that helps us stay in the algorithm. It tells YouTube that we want this information. But we have to realize our speech has been censored. Even though we're fighting against it, it's still an uphill battle. If we see more censored speech, then we see the media and the things taught to us being one-sided, and that one-sidedness makes us believe that everybody believes that way. And truthfully, that's not the case. Censored speech is a major detriment to us, and that is something they're doing that if we don't watch out, we're going to lose all form of free speech. Number 2, who cares if they can't get our generation? What about our children? More propaganda, more thought patterns, again, by manipulation to get our children to take over what we believe. I think of my parents' generation and the generations prior to that. Even if you are not a morally obligated person who like us that are Christian, you tended to respect other people. You didn't have a polarization. You believed that there was common law, there was common sense, and there was morals and values. Even again, if you were not talking spiritual, you believed that, you know, it would be wrong to do this crime. It would be wrong to have this thievery. It would be wrong to, you know, just do something that's not good against someone else. Well, in our culture now, we believe that we are teaching, especially with our children, that there is no wrong, there is no morals, there is no values, and everything is relative. Meaning, if it's right for you, then it's right and it's okay. If it's wrong for you, it's wrong, but it's not wrong for everyone else. It's a moral and value system that is based on selfishness and narcissism. So if we teach our generations that there is no relative truth, there is no morals and values, then we're going to lose those generations. In Judges, it talks about this on the spiritual side, that by the second generation, they had lost all knowledge of God. Well, in our culture, we've lost history. We don't teach history, and so we're not going to learn from history. So if we do not teach our children good ways with money, how to do this or that and have skills, to teach our kids morals and values, then we're just growing up generations of lostness and kids who don't even understand what a boy or girl is. Come on, people. We are losing our children, and we're allowing it to happen. This is something that if we don't take control of, we're going to lose America, because we're losing our generation. We're making boys who are not boys and don't want to grow up as men. We're making people feel guilty for who they are. Number two, they're destroying our generations and our children. You have to take control of that. You have to take control of teaching your children. If you put your kids in a school 8 hours a day and you're working and all you see is them in the morning for 2 or 3 hours, maybe in the evening for 2 or 3 hours, and they're working on homework, do you honestly believe you're raising your child? This is not a ploy just for homeschooling. I believe in homeschooling, but you better know what your kids are learning and make sure they are learning truth, history, education, and not propaganda and indoctrination. Number two, our children. Number three, they're doing something all right. They're taking some of your rights away. I'm gonna read a quote from Benjamin Franklin. It says, "Never trust a government that doesn't trust its own citizens with guns, firearms." George Washington states, "When a government takes away citizens' rights to bear arms, it becomes citizens' duties to take away government's right to govern." Now, this is not a ploy to do anything wrong. What I am saying, though, is we're seeing in our country and our culture a fight against self-defense, a fight against bearing arms. What we don't realize is the things that we have already discussed, 1, 2, and 3, all deal with the freedoms that were so important to our Constitution. It's amazing. The rights to raise your children, to love the children, to understand morals and values with your children, to raise them God-fearing, and to educate them in ways that are right. Freedom of speech, being able to speak and not be censored, and now a right to bear arms. If we don't see taking away our farms is a big deal, and so they're so good at it. They are doing something so wise, and we are so foolish because they take away this stock. They take away this magazine. They take away this style. They take away this little contraption here that goes on your firearms. They take away this and that and this. For long, you're not going to have anything. And what you do have won't be able to be used because the ammo and the brass that you're used is not available because it's going to be manipulated too. Slowly but surely, the more they take away ways to defend and the freedoms to defend, the more they will control. This is something so major, and if we don't watch out, America as we know it will be no more, and we'll be just like one of these other countries, being a globalist nation. And if we look in history, that's exactly what we fought against, and that's exactly what we wanted away from, the freedom. What did America establish herself on? It wasn't for the government to do all these things. It was to have freedoms and liberties. Number three, right to bear arms is being taken away. If you're not careful, it's going to be taken away. What are you going to do against tyranny? It can happen. Number four, let's think about this for a second. If you don't go along with the flow, what happens to you? Well, we become ostracized. We become polarized. We become canceled. We hear those terms. Well, if we don't fall in line with our job, if we don't fall in line with maybe our religion, if we don't fall in line with maybe the way that the government sees this or that, staying in your home or getting this type of thing here, then you're ostracized and you need to be banned from people. You need to be away from people. Do you not see the control? If we don't see what they're doing here as meaning you either fall in line or you will suffer. You either fall in line with your job and doing these policies that are not free and not liberty seeking, just complete and utter following of the government, following of policy, or you'll be let go. If you don't fall in line with working for the government, you'll be let go. What happened to having freedom? We don't realize if we don't fall in line, you will be canceled. You won't be in the algorithm anymore. You won't do this, you won't do that. We have to learn to push against that. If we always fall in line, then that means we'll fall in line with our food, we'll fall in line with what we need in our arm, we'll fall in line with giving away our arms and our brass. We'll fall in line because it's a fear tactic. Well, if you can't provide for your family, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't stand on that if you don't have any money. So we'll fall in line with digitized currency. We tend to lose the backbone because we have to fall in line or we'll be ostracized. The more we fall in line and the more we're not trying to swim upstream, the more we turn and we just go with everybody else, all we are running a broad way to a less free America and on the utter dismay of this local Hades that we're living in. I mean, our country is literally falling to pieces and we're just allowing it to happen. We're allowing it to happen because we fall in line. We got to quit falling in line, start building a little bit more backbone. And even though it may cost us, we have to be willing to do that with our liberty and freedom. I say that spiritually too. These are spiritual battles that we're seeing every day in our life too. So we have to be ready and not fall in line. As a prepper, as a sustainable homesteader, as a homeschooling parent, as a Christian, those things make us who we are. So let's don't kowtow to everything that comes away. Let's don't kowtow to everything that people tell us we should do. Seek wisdom and guidance, especially as a spiritual being, as a Christian. We believe that we have to seek guidance. And when we seek guidance, I believe we'll find out what we need to do. But remember, it's not going to be easy. It's going to cost us something, and we got to be willing to not fall in line. The last thing is what wraps up all this, and the point that we just made at number 4 about falling in line. If you don't fall in line, number 5, persecution will come. This is not just a spiritual term. They are literally fixing to indict the former president. No matter what you believe about his morals and character and values, it has nothing to do with that. If we worried about something that happened 15 years ago, why New York City is literally in chaos with crime, and they're letting all these felons go as misdemeanors, but then we're going to try to get a misdemeanor on someone from 15 years ago to be a felony. That's a little much. We will take in captivity everyone that protested in one way, but we'll let all the other protests or riots happen. The indoctrination that we see and the propaganda that we see is going to cause more issues for you and your family. So if persecution comes, look at these pastors who preached during the last few years. They're still, to this day, getting arraigned and arrested and sitting in jails, definitely in foreign countries, not as much in America. But we're starting to see that mentality creep into some of our cities, some of our bigger states. All these things that we talked about, we're seeing more and more happen in America. This is something that they're doing that if you don't watch out and you're scared to just stand up and know that persecution may come, I believe we're going to lose the generations that we talked about. We're going to lose the rights to have freedoms and liberties to own certain things. We're going to lose the rights and freedoms to have the money that we want to spend on what we want to use it for. We're going to lose all that because we're going to be 1984 walking in a straight line, doing what they want us to do, living on the crap food that they give us, living under tyrannical leadership. Now, that's not tyrannical leadership saying who's in charge. It's saying all the way around. This is not just something that happened the last few years. Yes, it is definitely taken off the last few years. We have lost sense of freedom. And if we don't get some of that back and we don't start having a backbone, these things that we've talked about today are going to be concerns. These concerns turn into the way they persecute us. Number 5, persecution. And the question is, are we ready for it? And it could be spiritual. It could be just our political views and the polarization. I don't know what the next few days, weeks, months, and years hold. But to me, these kind of things is why we prep. This is why we homestead. This is why we build pantries. This is why we do what we do. because if we don't do these things to take care of our families, then we will fear, and these things that have done to us will make us fall right in line, as we talked about number 4, because we're scared of number 5, being persecuted, and we're scared of not having our children taken care of because we're worried something's going to happen to them. So we kowtow to everything they tell us to do. Again, we're the frog in the boiling water that's slowly getting hot, and if we don't watch it, I think we're at the boiling point. And if we don't do something about it and gain wisdom and seek a way that we can get out of this mess we're in, if we don't clap back a little bit, I think we're just going to be one of those nations that in history one day they're going to read about, say America was exceptional at one time, and but then, just like every other big power, but then. But I don't want to be the but then. I want to say that America, it revived itself, and all of a sudden we're exceptional again, and we're doing what we set to do 200 something years ago. That's what we need. So really, more than anything, we need a spiritual revival, no doubt. We need to find morals and values again, but we have to have wisdom and discernment and a little common sense. Guys, thank you for listening to me today. Ran a little bit about these things. If we don't realize that speech, bearing arms, our children, the generations that we're raised in, and the falling in line and being maybe persecuted a little bit, if we don't see those things as being danger to us, if your children don't see the dangers of this, then they're missing it, and they will be the fall of the next generation. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless. Happy